Every single month you pay for something that runs in the background of your home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It does not need feeding, and it does not need maintenance, and it does not need your attention. You just pay for it and it works. And almost all of it goes completely unused. We are talking about your home Wi-Fi. Not the Wi-Fi you are actively using right now to stream or browse or work. The Wi-Fi that is sitting idle. The bandwidth you are paying for every single month that leaves your home untouched and earns nothing and disappears. Nathan discovered in 2024 that there was a straightforward and legitimate way to let that idle bandwidth earn a small amount of money every month without touching his router and without changing his internet plan and without anything that could be described as active work. He set it up in 11 minutes. He has not thought about it since. And every month a small amount of money arrives in his account from bandwidth he was already paying for and never using. Today we are going to look at exactly how this works and what the realistic numbers look like and which platforms are worth your time and which ones are not. And how to set the whole thing up as a genuine minimalist would, once and then forgotten. And before we go any further, I want to be clear about something because this topic attracts a lot of exaggerated claims online. This is not a get-rich strategy, and it is not going to replace your income. It is a small, quiet stream of recurring money from something you already own and already pay for. And for a minimalist, that is exactly the kind of thing worth understanding. Let us start with the basics because the concept sounds more technical than it actually is. When you pay for a home internet plan, your provider gives you a certain amount of bandwidth, a capacity for data to travel in and out of your home. Most households use a fraction of that capacity at any given moment. When you are watching a video, you are using some of it. When you are asleep or at work or simply not on the internet, the rest of it sits completely idle. Bandwidth sharing apps work on a simple idea. They connect your unused bandwidth to companies that need it, usually large businesses that use residential internet connections to gather publicly available data like pricing information and market research and website performance data from different locations around the world. These companies pay the app platforms for access to that bandwidth, and the platforms share a portion of that payment with you. You do not see any of the data being gathered, and it does not affect your own internet speed in any meaningful way during normal use. And in exchange for your idle bandwidth, you receive a small recurring payment. Nathan described it to a friend once as renting out the empty rooms in a house. The rooms are there whether they are occupied or not. You are already paying for them. And if someone will pay a small amount to use the space while you are not using it, that is simply making better use of something you already have. The platforms that facilitate this have been operating for several years now. They are real businesses with real user bases and real payment histories. This is not a new or untested concept. It is simply one that most people have never heard of because it does not make anyone dramatically wealthy and therefore does not get the kind of attention that more exciting financial strategies attract. Now let us talk about money because this is where most content on this topic either oversells the opportunity or undersells it, and neither serves you well. The honest range for bandwidth sharing income on a single home connection is roughly £2 to £20 per month. That is a wide range, and the actual amount depends on three things. The first is your location. Residential IP addresses in larger cities and in certain countries attract more demand from the companies buying bandwidth access. A connection in central London or New York will generally earn more than a connection in a smaller town. The second factor is how much of your bandwidth is genuinely idle. If your household has several people streaming and gaming and working from home simultaneously for most of the day, there is less idle bandwidth available to share. A single-person household or a household where most people are out during the day will typically earn more than a busy household. The third factor is which platform you use. Different platforms have different rates and different levels of demand and different payout structures. Nathan runs 2 platforms simultaneously on the same connection, which roughly doubles his monthly earnings without any additional setup complexity. His average monthly income from bandwidth sharing across 2 platforms is currently between £14 and £19. Not life-changing, but it is £14 to £19 that arrives every month from something that required 11 minutes of setup and 0 ongoing attention. Over a year, that is roughly £200. Over 5 years at that rate, it is roughly £1,000 from a resource he was already paying for and never using. The minimalist framing here is important. The value of this income is not in the size of the individual payments. It is in the nature of them, recurring and automatic and requiring nothing from Nathan in exchange for arriving. Let us now look at the specific platforms that have a genuine track record and a history of paying their users reliably. The first platform worth knowing about is honeygain. honeygain is one of the oldest and most established bandwidth sharing platforms. It has been operating since 2019 and has a large documented user base with a consistent payment history. You install a small app on your computer or phone or both, and it runs quietly in the background sharing idle bandwidth. Payments are made in cash via PayPal once you reach a minimum threshold, or in crypto if you prefer that option. The second platform worth knowing is Grass. Grass is a newer platform that operates on a similar model but focuses specifically on web data collection. It has grown significantly in 2025 and 2026 and has attracted attention for its reward structure, which includes both direct payments and a points system that can be converted to digital tokens. The third platform is Peer-to-Profit, which operates across multiple countries and has a straightforward cash payout structure through several payment methods. Nathan's recommendation for a minimalist starting out is to begin with honeygain alone. Install it on one device and let it run for 30 days. See what it earns in your location with your connection. Then, if the numbers make sense to you, add a second platform alongside it. The key word is alongside, not instead of, because running 2 compatible platforms on the same connection does not reduce the earnings of either one in most cases. What Nathan does not recommend is installing 5 platforms simultaneously before you understand how any of them work. That is the complexity trap that this entire channel exists to warn you about. Start simple and stay simple. Let us now walk through exactly what the setup process looks like, because the simplicity of it is genuinely one of its most important features. Step 1 is to go to the website of whichever platform you have chosen to start with and create a free account using your email address. There is no payment required and no personal financial information needed at the sign-up stage. Step 2 is to download the app to the device you want to run it on. The app works on Windows computers and Mac computers and Android phones. Nathan runs it on an old laptop that he keeps plugged in at home, which means the app runs continuously without draining a battery he cares about. Step 3 is to log in to the app and set it to run on startup so that it begins automatically whenever the device is switched on. That is the entire setup. There is no configuration and no ongoing management and no decisions to make after that point. The app runs quietly in the background. Your idle bandwidth gets shared. Small payments accumulate in your account. When you reach the minimum payout threshold, you request a withdrawal to PayPal or whichever payment method you have chosen. Nathan estimates the entire process from finding the platform to having the app running took him 11 minutes. He has spent approximately 0 additional minutes on it since. That ratio, 11 minutes of setup against months and years of small recurring income, is the definition of what this channel means when it talks about making existing resources work for you. Now let us talk honestly about the things worth being aware of before you set any of this up, because a calm and grounded approach to any income strategy includes understanding its limits. The first thing to know is that not every bandwidth sharing platform is legitimate. The concept has attracted some poorly run platforms and a small number of outright scams that promise high earnings and either never pay or disappear after a few months. The way to protect yourself from this is straightforward. Only use platforms that have a documented payment history of at least 2 years and have genuine user reviews from verified users on independent review sites. Honeygain and Peer2Profit both meet this standard clearly. Grass is newer but has enough documented activity and a large enough user base in 2026 to be considered reasonably established. If you encounter a platform promising earnings significantly above the £2 to £20 monthly range, treat that claim with serious skepticism. The second thing to be aware of is your internet service provider's terms of service. Most standard home broadband contracts in the UK and US permit sharing and used bandwidth through third-party apps. But it is worth spending 5 minutes checking your own contract if you want to be completely certain. The third thing is data security. The established platforms are clear that they only use publicly available data and do not access your personal files or private browsing. But as with any app running on your device, you should only install software from the official website of the platform. Nathan's approach to all three of these concerns is simple. Use established platforms only. Check your provider terms once. Download from official sources only. And then stop thinking about it. That is the minimalist response to reasonable caution. Address it once properly and then move on. So here is the full picture of what bandwidth sharing actually is and what it is not. It is not a primary income strategy, and it is not a path to financial independence on its own. It is something smaller and in some ways more interesting than either of those things. It is a recurring return on a resource you already own and already pay for and currently receive nothing from. The minimalist approach to money is not about sacrifice or deprivation. It is about looking clearly at what you already have and asking whether each part of it is working as well as it could. Your home internet connection is a resource you pay for every month. Most of it goes unused every day. There is now a simple and legitimate and well-established way to let that unused portion earn a small amount of money automatically with 11 minutes of setup and no ongoing management. Nathan does not think about his bandwidth sharing income. He does not check it daily, and he does not optimize it, and he does not spend time researching better platforms every few months. He set it up and he left it alone. And every month a small amount of money arrives that costs him nothing but the 11 minutes he already spent. That is what this channel means when it talks about making your existing life work harder for you without working harder yourself. This week, spend 11 minutes and set up one platform on one device. Leave it alone for 30 days. Then come back and see what your idle bandwidth earned while you were living your life. Share this video with someone who is always looking for a simpler way to add a small stream of income to their life, because this is genuinely one of the simplest ones available. I will see you in the next one.